Back there, yeah. Mhm.
What? Rat Roush?
Ronnie, give me a look.
I hope he's not gonna heckle us.
Glad you told me though, I
He
didn't
doesn't
know.
heckle us.
Come to the microphone.
How does Mom knows that?
Start an employee, or an employee, be like, you guys are gonna miss all my sweet and cuteness. Yeah. I'm out.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
No stink, no fuss, huh? Yep.
Changing your guard. It's Matt guard.
Uh-huh.
I swear.
Interesting.
I swear.
He was here.
He was here.
Was he on Lafayette? Was he Lafayette, please? Was he off West Lafayette? Yeah, Purdue, that's right.
Mr. Heidi's playing his cane.
Mom taught the twins at Miami, yeah. She knew him pretty well.
I know. Hey, we're on it.
I'd see him down at the
Absolutely
pub.
right.
I wish I would have got the black and white memo, but
That's right.
I'm adding a little.
Hey,
I'm
you're
adding a
like
little color.
in the
Inside
middle.
a
It's
little
like, you do
color.
have gray though.
I do
You
have great pants on. Yeah.
Work with you, I'll tell you that, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you made sure
That's what
everybody
they're
stayed away,
saying.
you were to get,
Lauren said she'd
Oh,
do
yeah?
it. I guess I asked her. So we just gotta get through here.
It's a good crew, I just gotta watch out, they're sitting there volunteering me for stuff.
That's-
I know how that goes, being the big guy, I do the same
Yeah.
thing on my building grades councils,
Oh, there's Gene.
with no
especially if
fuss.
someone's not there.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
they're not
yeah.
there, hey, I'm sure they'd love to do it.
All of like.
Yeah, but Nancy knows the ropes.
Yeah,
Sit there and make sure nobody's bothered.
they have
Sure.
one person who
Your folks doing
signed
okay?
up to take care
Bus
of them.
Heron stuff? Oh, ABC stuff.
They didn't have 5 or 6?
The equipment one.
I don't understand.
Heron.
When that happened, we're like,
Yes, when they came in, lights.
don't let them go, tell them it's a shoe-in.
Guess so.
We were gonna vote Ron over the phone.
Yes.
Hi, yeah,
I remember.
yeah, one person,
Yeah.
so.
Could well be.
Yeah, we were worried about
Yeah.
that, because
Yeah,
They just run off
I'll bet
Wi-Fi
you're
probably
right.
now.
Yeah.
I know.
I
Yeah,
gotta.
I half expect to see the guys shooting like this
Yeah.
instead of like
Well,
this, but the other night I saw a guy who's holding the camera like this the other
go
day
for the next
for a football game.
trustee is gonna step in
They're
there,
not all little.
unlock the door and look at the files, and it
Oh,
is,
I've got it right here.
Okay. Oh, look at this happy. I don't want Kevin hollering
I
at
can
me.
only imagine.
Atomic time.
Okay.
Atomic time.
Okay. All right.
Christine.
I'd like to call the December council meeting to order. If you'd all please rise with me and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, we're ready for roll call.
Blinker,
Here.
Nargi,
Here,
Snyder,
Present.
Reynolds,
Here.
Campbell,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Allersmeyer,
Here.
Downing,
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Quorum present.
And Mr. Snyder, we would like to welcome you to the council tonight, so we're glad to have you.
Thank you. An honor.
All right, we need to recess for a public hearing. What's the pleasure of the council?
So moved.
All right. Thank you.
Ordinance number 2021-63, an ordinance for additional appropriation of local road and street fund, Fund number 2020, and general fund number 1010, and for the appropriation reduction of a general fund number 1010.
Thank you. Is there any public comment to this ordinance? All right.
I
seeing
move we
none.
reconvene.
Thank you.
second.
Thank you. Next up is the approval of the minutes. We have the special meeting from October 21st, 2021, and the regular meeting from November 1st, 2021. Mr.
I
Campbell?
move those minutes be approved as communicated.
Very good.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Presentation and disposal of claims.
There are none.
Presentation of petitions and communications.
There are none.
Reports of city offices on file in the city clerk's office.
Renew Department monthly October, Waterworks Department monthly October, Police Department monthly October, and Fleet Maintenance monthly October.
Thank you. And those are all on file in the clerk's office if anybody would like to read them. We do have several ordinances for second reading tonight.
Ordinance number 2021-58, an amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, inclusion of certain properties in the local 9th Street Hill Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
Thank you. It's a pleasure of the council.
Madam President, I move for passage of ordinance 2021-58.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Oh,
Second.
thank you. All right, Mr. Collier, how are you?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. John Collier here from the Economic Development Department. You have 3 ordinances before you tonight. This first one is for 3 contiguous properties on State Street, 908, 920, and 928, to be included into the South 9th Street Hill Local Historic District. And all of these were reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission back in October, and they agree that these are worthy of designation, and they would appreciate your approval of the ordinance. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions of the council? Any comments or questions from the audience? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2021-59, an amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, inclusion of certain property in the local Centennial Trinity Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
All right, what's the pleasure of the council?
Madam President, I move that we hear and approve ordinance 2021-59 on second reading.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Collier.
Great, and this is for inclusion of 329 North 6th Street, which is First Christian Church, into the local Centennial Trinity Historic District. Again, the commission reviewed and approved it and would recommend your approval as well, and we would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Any comments from the audience? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2021-60, an amendment to ordinance number 2010-11, establishing a local parent 316 Tinkler Street Historic District in the city of Lafayette, Indiana.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Clinker?
I move we hear ordinance 2021-60 on second and final reading.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the last but not least is for the individual property at 316 Tinkler to be the local Perrin 316 Tinkler Historic District. Again, the commission reviewed and approved and would recommend they request your approval for this as a designated local historic district.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collier.
Ordinance 2021-62, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2021-54, an ordinance fixing the salaries of the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments of the city of Lafayette, Indiana, for the year 2022.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell?
Madam President, I move for passage of ordinance 2021-62.
I second.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Josnick?
So shortly after the adoption of the 2022 poll salary ordinance, a scrivener's error was discovered on Exhibit A relating to the clothing allowance, and so this ordinance just corrects that scrivener's error.
All right. Any questions or comments on this ordinance? Any questions or comments from the audience? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker,
Aye.
Nargi,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Campbell,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer,
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2021-63, an ordinance for additional appropriation of the local road and street fund number 2020 and general fund number 1010, and for the appropriation reduction of general fund 1010.
Thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam President, I move to hear ordinance 2021-03, -63.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mayor?
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I'll give you just a little bit of background on this that I think would be helpful to everyone, and certainly helpful to Councilman Snyder being his first meeting since we're going to appropriate some additional funds here. So as you know, at the beginning of the year, we look at our local roads and street budget, we also look at our wheel tax funds. We don't typically appropriate the wheel tax funds until we come later in the year. We bring you a list of all the roads that we believe we're going to be able to get paved in a year, and using those funds in the spirit of transparency from when we first passed that ordinance that allowed us to do the wheel tax collections and be a part of that process here in the city of Lafayette. You also, I'm sure, are aware that we are continually upgrading our road and our road inventory, looking at our roads and how they're graded for A, B, C, and trying to keep that up at a certain level each year, which you all know is not easy to do with the cost of asphalt, the cost of concrete, to do that. But I'll give Jeremy Grenard, our city engineer, credit. He has done a really good job putting a program together that's allowing us to continue to make progress on that. When we got done paving the original list this year, there's obviously additional roads on the list that could be paved. We found that we had some funds left over that could go to paving, and I think everybody would agree. Paving is certainly a process and a service that the citizens of Lafayette expect us to do, and to do our very best to keep the roads in the best condition that we possibly can. So working with the controller, we were able to come up with about an additional $400,000 to pave several additional roads. I would like to thank Dan Kroll and Mike Roush and the members of the street department. They paved many roads in-house this year. We got a new paver, so we do some contracting out with either Reith Riley or Milestone, depending on through the competitive bid process, who has the lowest cost on asphalt. And then we are paving more of our roads in-house, and their guys and ladies did a fantastic job. And because they did that, we were really able to stretch our dollars this year, and we're able to pave a significant amount of roads. And we're going to continue to do a hybrid method like that going forward, using Reith Riley and Milestone, using the street department to maximize those dollars to get as many roads as paved as possible. So when you appropriate additional funds, that has to come to the city council, and so that's why it's before you tonight. And I wanted to make sure that you had a sufficient explanation of why we were doing this additional appropriation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Just one, sir. Is there any real fluctuation in the price of asphalt for us over the last year or two?
Yeah, it goes up. Stone goes up. Stone has went up. Dave Payne, our purchasing manager, actually gave us a pretty comprehensive spreadsheet the other day to show how stone has went up in the last 5 years. Asphalt goes back and forth a little bit. I mean, it's steadily increased, some years with bigger jumps than others, but you know, we have to continue to find ways to stretch that dollar as much as we can.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or comments for the mayor? Any public comment toward this ordinance? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. We do have one ordinance for first reading tonight.
Ordinance 2021-64, an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance Tippecanoe County, Indiana to rezone certain real estate from R1B to GB, Tippecanoe County Fairgrounds, and the former YMCA property, Board of Commissioners of Tippecanoe County.
All right, Mr. Campbell?
President, I move for passage on first reading.
All right,
Second.
thank you. Hi, Mr. Murtaugh, how are you?
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be heard in front of you this evening. We're here to request a rezoning of this property. This request came about because, as you know, we did a significant rehab of both of those facilities, and we're doing some additional signage. The signage that we were looking for was above the square footage that would be allowed by an R1B. We were actually surprised to find out that those properties were zoned residential, and we have no idea what that background was about. It doesn't make any sense. But in addition to the request, and you should have in your file that we have done filed a commitment with this request stating that it would be used for county purposes and fairgrounds purposes. So And we did obviously send out all the notifications, and we received zero feedback in regard to the request.
Okay,
I
perfect.
respectfully request your approval.
All right, thank you.
Any?
Any?
Weird being on that side of the
Yeah, I
microphone.
was gonna say. Mr. Clinker?
I'd just like to comment that everything over there is beautiful. All the remodels and the rehabs are great, and thank you for the county for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. We've gotten a ton of positive feedback about the facility.
Tom, would it be necessary to pass this on second read, final reading tonight?
I don't believe rezones need a second reading.
That's correct. The rezones only require first reading, Mr. Campbell.
Okay, good.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Murtaugh? Any public comment to this ordinance? All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. We do have two resolutions tonight, I'm sorry.
Resolution 2021-36, a resolution approving a deduction for tax abatement in an economic revitalization area, real estate Subaru of Indiana.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the council?
Madam President, I move we hear and approve Resolution 2021-36.
Second. Thank you. All right. Hello, Mr. Carson.
Good evening. Dennis Carson, Economic Development Director, City of Lafayette. Before you, you've got another exciting project from SIA for an expansion, and they are requesting a 10-year tax abatement. This request has been fully vetted by staff, and it was also approved November 18th with a positive recommendation for approval from council from the Redevelopment Commission back on November 18th. So to explain the project, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Rachel Hazaray, the Deputy General Counsel for SIA. Thank you.
Here you go.
Patience. Madam President, members of the council, thank you for this opportunity to discuss with you the project before you this evening. As Dennis mentioned, this project is another sign of growth of SIA. As a reminder, I know you all know SIA very well, but just some of our basic statistics. As recently as last week, our headcount numbers are over 6,400 associates. We produce 4 vehicles at our plant in Lafayette: the Outback, the Legacy, the Ascent, and the Impreza. Last year and in years prior, we have supplied approximately half of all Subaru brand products sold in North America. And North America is Subaru's most important market worldwide. So SIA is a critical component of the Subaru brand overall, and we're excited for this opportunity to continue to grow our investment in the Lafayette area. So we currently have an 832-acre site. Since we visited with the Redevelopment Commission, we've actually finalized on the purchase of an 83-acre parcel of property that is just north and to the east of our main location. It's at the corner of Haggerty and Manufacturers Drive. The parcel of property, we plan to construct a 500,000 square foot warehouse on that location. The total investment we expect to make is approximately $58 million. And that warehouse will be used really to help SIA become more efficient in its receipt of delivered products for some storage, although relatively short period, 1 to 3 days, realistically, and then processing production parts before they will be then transferred just south to our main plant facility for incorporation into our main production lines. We expect the project will result in a net 69 new jobs for the greater Lafayette community. We actually expect the warehouse will have an employment of about 200, so 100 on a first shift, 100 on second shift. But we know that we'll have other warehouses we'll probably utilize less frequently. So to be conservative, we wanted to talk about our net numbers that we believe will really be adding to the community. We expect groundbreaking to take place next March, and we hope this time next year, we'll be utilizing that facility to support our production processes. So very aggressive project from a timeline standpoint, and appreciate your support and welcome any questions that you might have.
Any questions or comments from the council? Nope. All right. Any questions or comments from the audience?
Could you possibly tell me what percentage of the people that you hire out there and you're working are Tippecanoe residents, or are they from Kokomo or some other county where we're paying for?
It's a very good question. I'm going to answer truthfully, which is I don't know our latest statistics. I believe the last that I knew conclusively is I believe 40% of our workforce is located within Tippecanoe County, with the next 30% in all of the counties surrounding Tippecanoe County. And then there's obviously a slight balance that goes beyond that. So what I can tell you is we would welcome as many Tippecanoe County residents as possible. We have a large number of open positions, and encourage anyone who's interested to please apply, because we are certainly always in need of people to help fill our positions.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I do. On the employment, is it?
Yeah.
Name and address.
Name and
My
address.
name's Ernest Shepard. On your employment, is it the 100 on days and 100 on nights? Is that full-time employees, or will it be temporary?
So we are in the early planning phases of this project, so I don't know exactly when the shifts will be. What I believe and what our current thinking is, these will be full-time positions, as in 8-hour jobs, 8-hour full-time jobs, with a first and a second shift. But again, because we're not completely fulfilled with our plans, we still haven't determined conclusively.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Scott Walker with Greater Lafayette Commerce. I just want to encourage your support of this tax abatement request. It's because of your strong support for our corporations that this community, the entire Greater Lafayette, continues to be a thriving center of economic activity in the state of Indiana. So thank you and appreciate your support.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Reynolds.
Aye.
Campbell.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
All right. Thank you.
Resolution 2021-37, a resolution approving an interlocal cooperation agreement between the City of Lafayette, Indiana, and Perry Township, Tippecanoe, Indiana, for emergency and fire protection services.
Good evening.
But we got to bring it to the floor person. What's the
Madam
pleasure?
President, I move to hear and approve Resolution 2021-37.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Now we're ready for you, Chief Doyle.
What you have before you, as it says, is an agreement between us and a portion of Perry Township. Perry Township, this portion is out by Meyer on, we cover everything to 500 East. Out there is Veterans Memorial Parkway. This will extend our territory less than a mile to the east. It will start at McCarty Lane, and we already have some of this area in the city limits on the east side of 65. And then it'll extend, the last house on 550 East is 750 North, and there is a map that's included in the document. We already cover this kind of the large section to the west. That's unincorporated Fairfield Township. We already cover that, so it obviously just the highlighted area. It's the majority of it is residential. It's all, I'd say 99% of it is hydrogen, so we already have city water, city sewer out there. Currently, they have an agreement with Sheffield or Dayton, and then Buck Creek or Washington Township to serve all of Perry Township. We have agreed just to take this section. It is their more highly populated section of the township. They're still in negotiations with Sheffield and Washington Township to cover the remainder of that. They've approached us with this. Over the past probably 5 years, we've started to actually run out into that area when Sheffield or Washington Township could not serve that area because it's really hard during the day, during the week for especially these two volunteer fire departments to get people mustered to make runs. So we've gone into that area. We already have a mutual aid agreement, but the township trustees have came to us to ask if we could cover this area. We negotiated exactly what the footprint we feel comfortable with. And so the Board of Works has already signed it. The Perry Township trustees have not yet signed it. They have a meeting Thursday, and he assured me that it would get signed then. I informed him that if it didn't, we wouldn't have a contract January 1st. So it's been a good relationship with the township so far during this process, and we've been communicating obviously with those some of those departments too about us taking over. The station closest to this is our training center on Veterans Memorial Parkway. If you polled the majority of the people that live there, they probably think that station is their fire station. It's not. Every time Sheffield comes over to this area, they literally drive right behind that fire station to get there. So it makes sense for the public to have the, fire department to have the shortest distance to get to them. We've pushed this station out there in kind of the late 90s, and it wasn't even in the city limits until just 4 or 5 years ago. We just annexed that property. So that was right after railroad relocation, and we pushed that station all the way out there. It was extremely slow. We didn't serve Subaru at that time. Sheffield Volunteer Fire Department served Subaru. So a lot of changes have been made out there. Their run numbers have increased, but they're still very comfortable to take over this area. The first responding crews into this will be Station 9, which is at VMP there, and then Station 5 at Creasy and Union. Those will be the first two. Obviously, they get everything that we have to serve that community. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the chief?
I have a question. The $75,000 that they are going to pay for this, does that pretty much cover our costs?
Yes, yeah, FEMA has some guidelines on what you can kind of charge for response. That's kind of what we use for that. And we looked at their numbers, and it would be sufficient. And it's a yearly contract. If we find out a year from now or a couple years from now we want to change it, we can always
Once you have the
work
data
on
and
that.
how many runs you do and all that kind of stuff, okay.
But for now, the personnel will stay the same, Chief?
Yes,
Yeah,
yep.
no
Like I
increase.
said, with
Okay.
what we did 20 years ago, like Station 8, which is out by Councilman Reynolds' house, we only responded north when
Okay.
that station was put in place. Now we go from VMP all the way to 430 South. So
Sure.
there was, I mean, we obviously had our city reviewed after railroad location and pushed those way out. And at the time, it probably didn't seem like it was a good decision, but now it is. So
Yep.
we really don't have to, I mean, I'm asked often, do we need to add more stations because of our growth? Not now, because we saw that in the future 20 years ago, so.
Chief Doyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you touched on it a little bit, but I think to make it a little easier for people to understand is that the mutual aid program in the county, pretty much, if we would be in that area, we still have other backups to cover us too. So it's an ongoing, so our mutual aid with the county is backup. So, and we've used them also a few times, so.
Oh, yeah. We
yeah, I
actually
think
made
it's a-
2 runs into this territory today.
Did you?
Because Sheffield couldn't do it. So just gives you an idea of that the need is out there, so.
Will this new area that you're covering enjoy the same kind of response times that we get here in town?
Yes, I mean, and that's, so that station at the training center on VMP, it's within quarter mile of this first part of this area, where today, it's actually Sheffield, so they're actually coming from Dayton to come into this area. So their response time, plus, I mean, they have to, get the people to the station, get the truck and all that kind of stuff. So in all reality, their response time is, just fantastic compared to, and that's nothing against the volunteer fire department. That's just kind of the way that works in that area. They will also benefit from our ISO rating. So typically a volunteer fire department's rating is 8, and ours is a 2. So their insurance rate, because the first thing the insurance company asks you is, where's your closest fire station and where's your closest hydrant? Well, we've provided them the hydrant for a number of years since those places have been built. But the fire station they had to quote was Dayton, which could be 4 miles away. So now they can, and we would encourage them to contact their insurance company and say, hey, we have a different contract, a different fire department is covering us. It's a full-time department, and they could see their insurance rate drop. We will do fire, EMS. We will also take over public ed and inspections for Faith Church. There's the library that's out there. There's another church that's out there. So we'll take over those in our Fire Prevention Bureau also.
Thank you, sir. Great. Any other questions or comments? Any public comment towards this ordinance? Or resolution, I'm sorry. All right, seeing none, we're ready for a roll call vote.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Snyder?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Resolution passes 8-0.
Thank you.
You. All right, now we're ready for reports of standing committees. Reports of special committees. Report by the mayor.
Ma'am? I'll keep my comments brief tonight, but just kind of wanted to wrap up the end of the year. First of all, I want to thank Chief Doyle for his professionalism and the ability to work with other departments and other parts of the community. I think that speaks volumes to his character and his integrity and the Lafayette Fire Department, that we have the capacity to do unincorporated Fairfield Township. We have the capacity to help this township, and that we're able to find ways to do that that best serves the citizens of our community and the communities around us, because we're all in this together, and we've got to figure out a way to provide those services so everybody, and when it comes to fire protection and keeping families and property safe, that's really important. So I want to thank Chief Doyle for his efforts on that. I want to thank the council, and I think is Councilman Heidi still behind me?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for you too, Lon. So just another huge thank you for all the work that the council has done this year. Again, 2021 Community of the Year through the State Chamber of Commerce. That doesn't happen without a supportive city council and your vision and the vision that we share together to continue to move this community forward, to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' dollars, but still get things done and provide excellent service. We compete in a global economy, and you've done a great job helping move our local businesses forward. I appreciate your support of Subaru tonight. I know you I have great confidence in you. They are our single largest taxpayer in Tippecanoe County for private business, and so we appreciate them along with the other work they do as good corporate citizens with their donations and their foundations, their commitment to the environment and zero landfill and all those things that are important to us. So I appreciate your support of that. On a final note, I never thought in my time as mayor that I would do something like this 2 months in a row, but it seems like that time has come. And so it's, again, like last month, it's with a heavy heart, but with a deep, deep sense of gratitude that I announced that tonight will be Ron Campbell's last meeting with the Lafayette City Council. He is concluding if you can believe this, Reddy, a 50-year career, and he is. If you think back 50 years and think of the multitude of projects and parks and roads and railroad relocation and Subaru and Caterpillar and GE and Nanshan and the list goes on that you have helped play a role in bringing to this community, in making this community the fine place it is to live and to work and to raise our families. We'll never forget Ron's charge forward on the smoking ordinance. He was bound and determined, and look how well that's worked out. It's been the right thing to do, and it's improved the health of our community. And, the list could go on to the most recent with the new Loeb Stadium and all the improvements at the park. And, Mr. Campbell, I said this to Mr. Heidi also in a minute. Both of you have been mentors of mine since I was a young boy. I'm sure those times that I ended up in your office as the assistant principal, you didn't dream that things were going to turn out like this, and neither did my parents or anybody else, so don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, but the number of lives that you've touched through your teaching, your coaching, your involvement in the community really is immeasurable. You are an icon, you are a legacy of this community, and I cannot thank you enough for what you've done. You will be, your professionalism, your demeanor, your kindness, your compassion. Most people don't know that Mr. Campbell's always the first one down here to make sizable donations for United Way and the other charities we do. He never says a word about it. He just slips in and takes care of it. And what you've done has been remarkable, and you've changed lives and you've made lives better for countless generations. So thank you for what you've done. Please don't be a stranger. It'd be great to see you and Lon sitting out there, and we'll have some big shoes to try to fill here shortly to replace you going forward. So God bless you, and thank you for all you've done, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you, Mayor.
I know this is the mayor's moment, but this is sad for me. But anyway, you guys have done a great job this year. You guys know we've passed 101 ordinances and resolutions this year, so it's been a really busy year. So you can be very proud of yourselves.
All right, we're going to go on before they get me crying. So, are there any reports of city councilmen?
I was never in his office.
Oh, yeah, me either.
I just enjoyed him as an administrator.
Here today if I'd been in there. We are now ready for the public comment. We do welcome public comment and encourage active participation at this meeting. However, in order to proceed efficiently, public comment will be limited to 2 areas of the meeting. First, there will be an opportunity for public comment on ordinances or resolutions currently before the council. These comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length and be germane and relevant to the ordinance or resolution. All participants will be required to maintain a high level of civility, respect, and courtesy for everyone present. Any participant who, after being advised, persists in a discourteous or hostile manner which may disrupt the meeting will be asked to leave. At the end of the meeting, time will be reserved for public comment and any issue or concern you may have. Please remember to keep your comments concise and limited to 3 minutes. Finally, the open comment section is not an opportunity for you to make inappropriate comments about or personally attack council members or city officials. Again, all participants are required to maintain a high level of civility, respect, and courtesy for everyone present. Any participant who, after being advised, persists in a discourteous or hostile manner, which may disrupt the meeting, will be asked to leave. This is your opportunity to contribute to the community and assist the council in addressing issues that are important to the city of Lafayette. All right, with that being said, is there any public comment? Okay. This is the end. We're ready.
I want to clearly make it quite sure that I'm not mentally disabled. I've got a very disrespectful mayor, Tony Rozorski, and Dr. Fauci sitting over here. I'll tell you what, I got a challenge. I'll go to any mental hospital with them and get checked out because they have backed people that talks about cutting up people and putting them in barrels. They have talked to cops that says it's okay for kids to play in the street. They have okayed Melanie Clark to spit in my 15-year-old boy's face. They let my neighbor lady come across and assault me. They come to my house wanting me to do things and said they had disgrace and they asked me to do them, but three houses down the street, they let their buddies do what they want. These people ain't in office. They shouldn't be in office. There's 2 people right there that needs to be out. If you guys think I'm mentally disabled, Why don't you prove it? There's 8 or 9 of you. Prove it. And take your buddies with you too. That'll be 11. I'll tell you why I am. I work for the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana built up four Trumps try to kick me out for sexual harassment and everything else. So this little bit of accusations from Dr. Fauci don't worry me. And Tony, he don't worry me. He's just another big bully on the block.
Keep your comments civil, please.
I'm 73 years old, and I will not be bullied. I proved that when the mayor threw me in jail for 12 hours and then dropped the charges. So that's my challenge is to, if you want to call them men, these 2 guys here, schedule me and them an appointment to a mental hospital. We'll go and have tests made, and we'll see who is mentally disabled. I'm sure that you're going to find out it ain't me. Because if I was unstable, there'd have been a lot more damage done today than there has been. That's all I've got to say. I would like to have, one of these days, to have a chief of police that you can depend on, that won't lie, a mayor that won't lie.
Please keep your comments civil.
Because I talked to him and Matt Guard both about putting a handicap ramp on 23rd and Lamb. And 23rd and Lamb don't have no handicap ramp as of today.
Okay, your 3
Now-
minutes are up. Thank you for your comments. Is there any other public comment this evening? Seeing none, I think we're ready for adjournment. Mr. Campbell?
I move we adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
So moved.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.